Hi, I'm John Feldt, and this is a Southeast edition of the Water Resources Outlook. Well, the big story last week was Hurricane Isaac as it moved up from the Gulf of Mexico into Louisiana and then further up to the north into Missouri. Here's a picture as it turned into a hurricane and just before it made landfall over very close to the New Orleans area, which received about 20 inches of rain. This is the track of Isaac last week, and at one time we thought it might move up more into the Southeast U.S. and hug the western Florida coast, maybe moving into the northwest Florida panhandle in Alabama and Georgia, but the upper steering flows took it out into the central Gulf, and as you can see, it made landfall very close to New Orleans before moving directly to the north. Now, I can't say that we didn't receive any rain with Isaac because a lot of the moisture that's over the area is still here due to Isaac, and we did get a number of streaming outer bands of moisture that did produce some thunderstorms here and there, some scattered thunderstorms. So we did get a little rainfall from Isaac, but nothing like they got to further to our west. And I thought you might be interested in seeing the rainfall from Isaac, where it fell, and that's the area in blue. And for the folks in Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, and parts of Indiana, it was a welcome rainfall. They had 2 to 5 inches of rain, some isolated amounts in the 6 to 7 inch range. But that area needed about a foot of rain to bring it back to normal. So it was a welcome rainfall. It put a dent in the drought, but there's still going to be a drought in that area. As you can see over Georgia, we still have an area of drought that's been very persistent over the central part of the state. It's been getting a little bit better. We've been getting a little bit of rain over there, better than nothing, but it's very persistent and it's still in that area. And some of the scattered showers and thunderstorms did make it there, but not a whole lot. Now here's the last week, actual rainfall across the Southeast U.S. Pretty much hit or miss. You can see the purple area, that's with Isaac as it moved up to the north. Generally speaking, I would look at the areas of yellow and red for the more significant water resource recharging rainfall. You can see it's pretty scattered. Now the rain in close to Miami, that was due to Isaac as it brushed far south Florida. But over the rest of the Southeast U.S., you know, it was basically the blue was a ½ inch or less, the green was 1 or 2 inches. So just about everybody received some rain last week, but you really need to get about an inch of rain to make a little progress in recharging upper soil moisture, and not all that many areas really received it over the last week. So if we look at the percent of normal rainfall from last week, we can see probably as many areas did not receive normal rainfall, and that's the reds, then did receive the normal rainfall, and that's the blue. And that's why I sort of think we're in a status quo type situation. Generally, over a period of several weeks, we're sort of holding our own. We're not gaining as far as soil moisture recharge, but we're not losing a whole lot either. Now, last week, North Carolina had a prevailing below normal rainfall, but then South Carolina looked like it had a little bit more above normal rainfall. So I think overall, week to week it'll change a bit, but we're generally in a status quo type situation. Okay, so let's talk about what's expected this week. September can be one of the quietest months over the Southeast U.S. unless we get tropical activity. Now, I know that sounds sort of strange, but it's either going to be very quiet or very active. And the jet stream is definitely well to our north. It's not a real vigorous jet stream. It's sort of flat. There's not a whole lot of energy with that. We have stagnant moisture from Isaac over the area. And pretty much it's not going to be a whole lot as far as lift other than daytime heating that would fire up some scattered thunderstorms with the deep-seated moisture. Now the steering flows for tropics, and we have to really keep an eye on that. For most of the tropical season, it's been from east to west into the Gulf and then over into Mexico. Now, Isaac rotated around that high a little bit closer and moved into the central Gulf. But one of the things that I've seen this week is that that high that's sort of been blocking the east coast has really dissipated. And what will probably occur with this is it's going to give a number of scenarios should a tropical system move in. It could rotate to the north, and that's what Leslie here is going to do. Is going to move up to probably the north and then eventually the northeast right around the edge of this high. But if something comes in a little bit further south, it could either move east to west into the Gulf of Mexico, or it could come out a little bit further to the west and maybe affect part of the eastern U.S. later this season. So right now, we just have a lot of different strategy or scenarios on a tropical path should a system form and move closer to the U.S. Now with Leslie, like I said, that's not expected this week. It's been pretty muggy outside over almost the entire Southeast U.S., and this shows it quite well. Precipitable water, the amount of water in the atmosphere, is running above 2 inches in most areas and pretty much above 1.5 inches in all areas. And that's most likely in the 75th to or higher percentile for this time of year. So there's a lot of potential moisture that if we could lift that, we could get a lot of rain. Unfortunately, the systems or the mechanisms producing that lift are pretty weak, primarily the daytime heating, and consequently, I think that'll keep thunderstorms more scattered and more confined to the afternoon and evening hours, although I can't rule it out at nighttime as well. This is a model, the global forecast model, the American model, that shows the potential rainfall over the next week across the Southeast U.S. Reds are 2 or 3 inches of rain. Blues are about a ½ inch to maybe 1.5 inches. And I guess the point here is it looks pretty similar to last week. Most of the areas should receive some rain, and some areas will receive a significant amount of rain. Unfortunately, other areas won't receive much rain at all. So I think it's the same old story we've seen in the last couple weeks. Will continue. And I guess the good news, if you're looking for rain, is that at least every day, or most days of this week, there should be at least a chance of rain in the forecast. So the takeaway points from the Southeast edition of the Water Resources Outlook: moisture is lingering over the area throughout the entire week. Scattered thunderstorms will continue. Most areas at least a ½ inch. Some areas 2 inches or more. Soil moisture, status quo. I don't see any big changes one way or the other across the region. There will be a slow, continual improvement of drought in Georgia. Now, I want to emphasize slow and continued in that you're not going to see anything drastic, but I do think there will be a very slow increase in upper soil moisture due to these scattered thunderstorms. And finally, no tropical activity is forecast to reach the U.S. Thank you for listening to this edition of the Southeast Weekly Water Outlook. If you'd like to subscribe to get notification of updates, you can go to bluewateroutlook.com and click on subscribe. Thank you.